Yeah, I'm the dream finder, and my little purple friend here is a figment of my imagination.
Figment, for short.
You know, we've traveled all over the world collecting the stuff dreams are made of.
And you wouldn't believe all the dreams floating around out there during Christmas.
Oh, yeah, so many of them. You see, we fly through the air in my wonderful dream-catching machine, gathering sunbeams, rainbows, feathers, anything that sparks the imagination. And these last few weeks, we've been collecting the wonderful Christmas wishes our guests here at Epcot Center have been dreaming. And we store these marvelous ideas right here in the dream port.
Can we see them, dream finder?
Well, I don't know, Figment.
It is Christmas.
Well, why not? Let's see now. Where did I put those Christmas dreams? I know I left them around here someplace. Figment.
Huh?
Look.
Wow. Open them up. Hurry, hurry.
Figment, calm down. Dreams are delicate things, especially Christmas dreams. You ready? Let's see what some of our Epcot Center guests wish for Christmas.
Now leaving the center of Future World, we now come across Journey into Imagination. Epcot Center, Walt Disney World's second gate, which opened on October 1st, 1982. In the front of the park, you would have Future World East and Future World West, which featured pavilions based on the topics of energy, the living environment, human exploration, technology, communication. And yet in Future World, there was one pavilion that stood out from the rest of them. That pavilion would be the Imagination Pavilion, a pavilion that would use the power of imagination for everything that you would experience. But the concept of the Imagination Pavilion started years ago with an idea for a new themed land in Disneyland and Anaheim.
Discovery Bay is kind of a once-only place in time. It's a Victorian place that occurred at the turn of the century. It's the kind of place that Jules Verne or H.G. Wells might have inhabited. So you'll actually be able to, for instance, board the Nautilus and have a very elegant meal down below the water while you're being serenaded on the pipe organ and looking out at all the scenic wonders of the ocean floor from those overhead windows. This is just one of the adventures that might go into here. There's, like I said, a flight on an aerial suspended monorail system that looks like a dirigible.
In the 1970s, Imagineers officially announced a stunning new area to Disneyland. That new area would have been called Discovery Bay, which would feature a Carousel theater attraction show called Professor Marvel's Gallery of Wonders, featuring two characters by the name of Professor Marvel and his dragon. This attraction would have been similar to what we have seen before with the Carousel of Progress currently residing in Magic Kingdom. The show would consist of Professor Marvel and his dragon putting on a musical show for his audience. One of the reasons why this project got pretty much canceled was Disney had a lot on their plate when they had their first overseas park, Tokyo Disneyland, in construction. But the concepts used for the attraction would pretty much be used for the inspiration for an attraction used in Epcot Center by using the same crystal-like structure designed by the legendary Imagineer Tony Baxter. The characters that were Captain Marvel and his dragon would be ultimately altered to fit the theme of the upcoming pavilion. Captain Marvel would now be named Dreamfinder, and his dragon would now be called Figment. It was originally green during the concept phase, but was later changed to the color that we all know him today, purple. Construction of the pavilion wouldn't start until 15 months prior to Epcot's opening, which is absolutely insane. They should have started that as soon as possible, which left the attraction pretty much being delayed. The pavilion would feature three main attractions. The main attraction, Journey into Imagination, Imageworks, which was post-show upstairs the attraction, and outside inside the Magic Eye Theater, Magic Journeys. With the contract signed with Kodak, one of these three attractions was required to be opened on the opening day of Epcot Center. The attraction would feature many operating problems during the construction phase, plus the short time they had given. So it was decided to have a short film with Dreamfinder, played by Ron Schneider, promoting what was yet to come to the pavilion. A week before Epcot's opening, this short film was never used, unfortunately, because the originally planned short film, Magic Journey, was finally ready for the pavilion to be seen by guests.
As we talk about tomorrow, here's a bulletin for you. There is no imagination crisis in this country, especially here at Disney World. We've gathered a panel of imagination experts just to prove it. Imagination, it's a good word, especially when it's spelled with a capital I. And here's Disney's newest authority on imagination from the Imagination Pavilion here at Epcot. He is Dreamfinder.
Hello there, Brian. Good to have you here at Epcot.
And who is Dreamfinder?
Well, I'm kind of the host of the Journey into Imagination show out here at Epcot Center. I travel all over the universe collecting the stuff dreams are made of. Sounds, colors, ideas, anything that sparks the imagination. And I store these sparks in the Journey into Imagination Pavilion. And the guests and I recombine them into new ideas and new inspirations.
I am left to assume that you do not dream alone. Who's your little purple
Well,
friend?
this is actually something I dreamed of. This is my Figment, and I'm very proud of him. You see, I threw together the two tiny wings, the nose of a crocodile, the horns of a dilemma, and all the calm and reserve of a small child's birthday party. And so he, with his curious and naive way of looking at life, shows me things that I would never have guessed in my own knowledge and experience.
On March 3rd, 1983, Journey into Imagination was now finally open to guests to experience the fun of imagination with Dreamfinder and Figment by collecting sparks of imagination throughout the universe. One little spark was played throughout the attraction as Dreamfinder sings the song in the opening sequence. The song was also written by the Sherman Brothers, who you might have known who worked on the hit 1964 movie Mary Poppins. Going forward with the attraction, the ride system would feature an advanced version of the Omnimover ride system like we have seen in the Haunted Mansion or Adventures Through Inner Space. The opening sequence would find guests looking at a projector, showing Dreamfinder flying through the air collecting imagination sparks. And the next scene, we would find Dreamfinder on a spark collector discussing what imagination can create while also making his figment of imagination. Figment, the purple little dragon. This scene was operated on a turntable which would pretty much last over 3 minutes. Once leaving this scene, guests would now enter the Dreamport. Guests could see an art piece on the wall painted by Dreamfinder, as well as a carousel and a pot of rainbows Figment is seen holding. Next, you have the scene with literature, where guests could see Dreamfinder playing an organ with words coming out of it, which is insane. We would be in the performing arts room, with Dreamfinder conducting an awesome neon-ish light show and Figment trying on different costumes singing. And finally, we would enter the science room, showing Dreamfinder telling Figment that the key to unlocking the world's hidden magic is by using your imagination. Once the attraction came out, it quickly became a huge hit, as Dreamfinder and Figment became the unofficial mascot for Epcot overnight. The attraction was ultimately loved by many guests, with also having Dreamfinder and Figment wandering around the Imagination Pavilion meeting guests. This attraction made it pretty much a highlight for many guests coming to Epcot. Honestly, to me, this is one of the greatest attractions ever built by Disney because the amount of love these characters brought to the attraction, from their meet and greets to being unforgettable. But what happened next left many fans disappointed.
Opening ceremonies of the new millennium. Every day, every night at Epcot.
Being one of the last pavilions in Future World to get an update, Journey into Imagination sadly closed on October 10th, 1998, with now Journey into Your Imagination opening a year later in 1999. Many guests hoped that this refurbishment wouldn't alter too much of this once beloved attraction. They were in for something horrible. This new version of the attraction would change the storyline completely, defining imagination from the guests. The attraction would be based on the near show Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and the Magic Eye Theater, which now replaced Magic Journey and later Captain EO. The outside of the pavilion stayed mostly the same, but things all changed once you entered those doors of the attraction, as the once beautiful loading area with murals created by really talented Imagineers was now gone for some brand new queue featuring an open house for the Imagination Institute. Replacing Dreamfinder would be Eric Idle, reprising his role as Dr. Nigel Channing, being introduced in many videos with gags and explaining to guests in the queue what experiments and tests that they will experience within the attraction. He would then inform guests about the newest invention that the Imagination Institute has created, an invention that would scan guests for their imagination to see how much they would have. Like, honestly, who thought that this idea was better than the original? I'm looking at you, Michael Eisner. I'm looking at you, Kodak. This is on you. Alright, jokes aside, onto the attraction. Guests would see that everything from the previous attraction, including Dreamfinder, was ultimately missing. The new loading platform, where guests would board the ride vehicles, was once where the turntable scene with Dreamfinder and Figment once was. Guests would then enter and have the imagination scanner scan them, only to be told that they don't have any imagination. Wow, Disney, that sounds like that's pretty mean.
Well, as you can see, there's not much going on upstairs, imagination-wise. That's just perfect for our experiments.
Going from room to room, the entire attraction felt ultimately empty and meaningless. Once you got to the end of the attraction, the scanner rescanned guests, only to find your imagination was insane. Oh my god, it's a miracle. The original track for the attraction was cut out around 40 to 50% due to Kodak not putting as much funds into the project, resulting at a 12-minute attraction turning into a 5-minute attraction. Every mention of either character, including Dreamfinder, was gone, but only cameos of Figment could be found in the queue of the attraction, which left many ride guests angry with this new refurbishment. To make fans of the original attraction even more mad, the original song, One Little Spark by the Sherman Brothers, was ultimately cut out of the attraction. Once guests exit the attraction, they could experience the brand new image work, which was far from being even good from standards from guests. So if you wanted to go back to the original ImageWorks upstairs, you were pretty much blocked off from a wall, which no longer allowed guests to visit this once amazing area, which Disney seemingly to leave it abandoned, which currently it has now been a DVC lounge area. Since the original attraction was closed for more than 6 months, it was required by OSHA to inspect the premises of the building. The original ImageWorks, for safety reasons, it did not make the requirements, so Disney and Kodak ultimately decided they didn't want to pay more, so they decided the cheaper option. So taking the new attraction and the new ImageWorks, they both were received ultimately poorly by guests, pretty much becoming Epcot's worst attraction. It was then decided that Disney would give Imagineers a good amount of money to restore the original attraction to its glory, but as the unfortunate events of 9/11 happening that affected pretty much the whole world in tourism as we know it, the budget was now changed to $8 million, leaving Imagineers only a fraction of the money that they were presented. Then after everything on October 8th of 2001, the attraction was finally closed again for 6 months. But this still newer version of the attraction made everything even worse. The attraction reopened as Journey into Imagination with Figment, and with still no sign of Dreamfinder still. When guests entered the queue, there wasn't too many changes from the previous queue. But the attraction would still feature Dr. Niall Channing's, where Figment was his figment of imagination, and would have guests go through different tests and experiments where Figment would cause distraction, making Figment this annoying character that we all have learned to hate, versus this lovable character that we got in the original attraction. The only real highlight of the new attraction, in my opinion, would be the finale, with all these different figments singing one little spark, but once guests would exit, they would see Dr. Niall Channing as a moon, and god, that looks terrifying. Like, where did these ideas from Disney come from? Like, I don't even want to know anymore. With the remnants of Dreamfinder's animatronics being gone, only animatronic that I found in my research that looks similar would be the animatronic in the graveyard scene in Disneyland Paris's Phantom Manor. Honestly, this looks really similar, and I think it might be the same mold as the character. I wouldn't say it's the exact animatronic. I think it's the same face mold, in my opinion. And for Figment, most of his figures were either saved in the Disney storage or sold to collectors that have saved some. Today, the attraction is mostly looked as a joke in the Disney community, and many still wish that we could have the original back. I honestly hope that we can see Dreamfinder come back in the near future, as of the new Epcot overhaul coming. But it's yet to be seen if the Imagination Pavilion will be a part of this new experience coming to the resort. For the Imagination Pavilion as a whole, I would bring back Dreamfinder and a new ride with Figment, while also bringing back the original ImageWorks upstairs. While continuing, I would also update the Magic Eye Theater, adding a brand new show, an original concept how George Lucas and Michael Eisner did with Captain EO back in the 80s. But that's just me. How about you? Would you want Disney to bring back Dreamfinder? and the original concept of the Imagination Pavilion, let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to give us a like and to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos to do with theme parks from around the world.
What about all the other dreams, Dreamfinder?
Well, some of them have already come true, Figment, and some we're just saving for our friend Santa until he needs them.
But will they keep?
Well, a dream never spoils, Figment, because every time you dream it, it becomes as new and fresh as the day it was born. So keep dreaming your dreams out there. We'll keep them safe here until they come true. And they will. Bye-bye. Say goodbye, Figment.
Goodbye, Figment.